Hey there everybody, Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Best to Worst Albums. Today we're going to look at a band that doesn't have a huge discography, which makes a show like this easier, but doesn't make choosing my least favorites to favorites any easier at all, right? So sometimes short and sweet and compact is just as difficult as having, 20, 30 albums or whatever. So of course we're going to look at the mighty Led Zeppelin catalog today, and we're just going to do the studio albums. I'm going to throw Coda in there as well, even though that's kind of like a compilation, but it's the last studio album they did, which they put together after they had already broken up. So I'm going to include it just for the hell of it. And we're going to start off, and as we normally do on these shows, I go from my worst to best. We should just title the show Worst to Best, but that doesn't sound as sexy as Best to Worst, right? But we're going to start off with my least favorite and go all the way to my favorite. Just keep in mind with the Zeppelin catalog, maybe the bottom couple, they're good for what they are, and some have very strong moments, but man, once you get to like the top echelon, I could change my mind on these almost any day. But anyway, and we'll explain as we go along. So first I'm going to start off with, Coda's going to come in at the bottom of the pile for me. And again, not a terrible album. There's some good tunes on here. We're going to groove is pretty cool. I Can't Quit You Baby, obviously. What else on here? Ozone Baby, Wearing and Tearing, Darlene. It's all outtakes, leftovers, stuff that was kind of thrown away, never used. You can kind of tell. I mean, like I said, it's okay. It's kind of solid, but as a kind of last Zeppelin gasp, it's easily the bottom of the barrel, right? But at the time, when everybody's, mourning the loss of Bonham and Zeppelin being no more, this was kind of cool when it came out, kind of cool to have, because we never thought we'd get any more Zeppelin, material. All right, next up, again, another solid album, but for my money, not prime Zeppelin. Of course, talking about Into the Outdoor, right? Okay. Take it out of the bag. You know what the whole deal looks like, right? You know it. A strong enough album, but for me, kind of lacking something, lacking power. I think this is Zeppelin at their most melodic, okay? Maybe most kind of radio friendly, so to speak. You got the hit single, All My Love, right? In the Evening is a cool tune, nice rocker, but again, you're missing that Zeppelin heft, but a really strong song with some good plant vocals. What else? Fool in the Rain, nice tune. Probably should have been a big hit for the band. Hot Dog, kind of like, old school kind of rock and roll type of thing. Carousel is a cool tune. That's probably my favorite song off the album. And I'm Gonna Crawl, kind of bluesy. Overall, not a terrible album by any means. And this would be, the truly last Zeppelin studio album. I like it. I don't love it. Never loved this album. I do like it. Okay. All right, next up. So here's where, once you get those two out of the way, here's where it gets a little dicey, because most of the rest of the catalog is pretty damn strong. And, I'm going to go on record in saying that even though I'm picking this one next up towards the bottom of my list here, I actually dig Presence quite a bit, okay? And, it gets a lot of flack from some people. It's like one of those albums that folks either really, really love this album or just kind of like indifferent to it. I think it's a really good album. First of all, any album that starts off with Achilles' Last Stand is damn good in my opinion, right? I mean, how can you go wrong there? And Nobody's Fault But Mine kills. T for One, I absolutely love. But then you got some other tunes, Candy Store Rock, Hot's On For Nowhere, For Your Life is pretty cool, Royal Orleans, So half of the album, in my opinion, is really, really good. The other half is okay. All right, so that's why it kind of sits where it sits, towards the bottom of my list. But again, not a terrible album by any means. All right, I mean, the next couple, Jesus, could change any day. I'm going to go to the debut next. And again, it's arguable whether this one or the second album, Either one of these, right? They're almost like interchangeable. But I think for me, the second album might be a little stronger. All right. I mean, so what do we got on here? You got some great, you got Dazed and Confused on here. You got You Shook Me. You got How Many More Times. All right. I Can't Quit You, Baby. Communication Breakdown, fun song. Your Time Is Gonna Come, fun tune. Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You is gorgeous. Good times, bad times. So, a lot of really strong stuff on here. But I just think that, the band was a little more realized at this point. And if you're looking at like some of the heavier material of the band, this is probably a little bit stronger. All right. You got some very well-known songs on here, A Whole Lot of Love. Obviously, Heartbreaker, Livin' Lovin' Made, the Lemon Song, Thank You, another gorgeous tune. Ramble On, I totally dig. Moby Dick, for what it is awesome. But man, this has got Bring It On Home on it. Which, for me, one of my favorite Zeppelin tunes ever. That kind of shifts the gears a little bit and maybe brings this one a little bit above here. But you know what? It's arguable. These two are pretty much neck and neck. So surprisingly, the next one on my list, if you were to ask, if I had done this whole scenario, like say 20 or 30 years ago, this next album would never have made it this high, ever. I have found, I guess since I've gotten older, all right, your taste change a little bit. You start to get used to things that you really maybe didn't like as much when you were younger. Me being the young hard rock and metalhead that I was back in the early mid-'80s, I kind of wasn't a fan of this album other than like a tune or two. Now, all these years later, I've finally fallen in love with this album, and that's the third album, obviously. Okay? Immigrant Song, Friends, Celebration Day, Since I've Been Loving You, killer, all right? Out on the Tiles. I mean, side one is just, you can't beat it, right? And then side two is all the acoustic stuff, and there's some great shit on there. Gallows Pole is awesome. All right, hats off to Roy Harper. That's the way. I mean, all this great stuff. It's cool because it's got a lot of different shades and moods on this album. And like I said, I think over time, and maybe also because back in the day, I really didn't listen to this album a lot because I was like, oh, it's too folky, not heavy enough. Now it's like I reach for this one a lot. Okay, probably more than my next pick, but the next pick is just so damn great. All right, and that's Houses of the Holy. I mean, this is just, if you go back and I think this is another one back in the heyday when I was first starting to get into Zeppelin. I didn't give this one the credit that it actually deserved, but this is a really strong album. You go listen to this album today, it's like one tune after another on here. Okay, got the remaster here. All right, song remains the same. The Rain Song, I mean, how cool is that? Over the Hills and Far Away. The Crunge, Dancing Days, Did You Make Her? No Quarter, how awesome is that tune? And The Ocean, a really strong album. Pretty heavy album, okay, for the most part, which, of course, I always dig. So that's going to come in next. So now the top two, obviously you know what they're going to be, but which one's he going to pick, right? Which one's he going to pick? Well, for my second favorite Zeppelin album, I'm going to go with Zeppelin 4. All right. Obviously, some legendary tunes on here. You got, of course, Stairway to Heaven, but, forget Stairway to Heaven. You got Black Dog, all right? You got Battle of Evermore, Misty Mountain Hop, Four Sticks, and The Mighty When the Levee Breaks. The funny thing is, there's, if I never hear rock and roll ever again, I'd be okay with that, okay? So take that one out. Stairway to Heaven, despite the fact that it's one of the most overplayed songs of all time, I still really like Stairway to Heaven. But I don't need to hear it more than a couple times a year. And I never like Going to California. So why is this one my second favorite? Well, because it's got some songs that are just so potent. When the Levee Breaks and Black Dog, which kind of bookend the whole album, for me, just make this just rise above a lot of other albums. And I really dig the Battle of Evermore. And I really dig Misty Mountain Hop, and I really dig Four Sticks. So there you have it. And I like Stairway. So that's why this one is my second favorite. So of course my favorite, obviously, is this Goliath here. All right, which probably has been my favorite Zeppelin album for as long as I can remember. And there's just so much great material on here. It's heavy, it's light, it's great melodies. I mean, The Rover is on here, my favorite Zeppelin tune. Okay, Custard Pie is on here. Love it. The song Houses of the Holy, which should have been on that album, but wasn't, but it's on here. Okay, Trampled Underfoot. Love Trampled Underfoot. In My Time of Dying. All right. In the Light. How cool is that tune? 10 Years Gone. Night Flight and the Wonton Song, you know? Sick Again. Boogie with Stu. I mean, just great tunes. Heavy stuff, bluesy stuff, folky stuff, right? Just all sorts of everything that Zeppelin ever did well went into this album. And that's why this is my favorite Zeppelin album of all time. So best to worst, right? Let's go back, right? Here's my favorite, okay? Physical Graffiti. Zepp 4. Number 2. Houses of the Holy. Number 3. Zeppelin 3 at number 4. Number 5. Zepp 2. Number 6. The first album. Number 7. Presence. Number 8. Into the Outdoor. And then down at the bottom, number 9. Coda. That's it. Zeppelin, best to worst albums. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, of course, we're on the mighty YouTube. All sorts of great stuff coming up, all right? We've got a special announcement that I'll be doing tonight, which is going to be announcing a couple shows that are upcoming with some special guests that I'm really excited to have on and talk to you guys about. So they and I will be appearing on a special quick little teaser for what's coming up next week. Right, and then what else is in the works? Steve Keeler and I are getting back together at Rock Fantasy, probably within the next 2 weeks, and we're going to record a whole bunch of shows, a lot of cool top 10 song shows. So what do we got? We got Skynyrd and Megadeth and Overkill and Aerosmith and Santana, all sorts of fun stuff. What else? Mike Antonelli and I still have to get together to do our Doobie Brothers Top 10 songs. That's coming. Nick Franco and I are going to do an Amorphous Top 10 songs. That's coming. Butch Jones and I are going to do Michael Schenker Group and Van Halen and ZZ Top. That's coming up in the weeks ahead. Chris Sallow and I are going to do that Iron Maiden History Of. When we can find time, we're going to do that too. And all sorts of other stuff, guys. All right? So just stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. And we'll see you again real soon. Take care. Bye-bye.